folks don't know nothing about Bitcoin and energy. What if I told you the two are soulmates? What if I told you could learn about the connection between the two? This is me telling you that you can at the premier Bitcoin mining event in Houston, Texas, put on by Digital Wildcatters. We'll see you there!
Lisa Hough, thank you for showing up. We're really excited about having you on the show. LevelField Financial, where you're from, and you got big news that we'll talk about today. But you want to kind of introduce yourself to everybody. For those of you that don't know you, which most people who watch the show are going to definitely know who you are. So for those who don't, you mind kind of running through your background and all that?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm a huge fan of the show. I think I've seen them all at least once. I often rewatch things that I love. So, and somebody asked me today, like, when do you have time to watch all this stuff? I'm like, okay, I cook my own food. I clean my own house. I wash my own clothes. Like, I wash my own car, two of them. I'm like, when do you not? I mean, I don't watch TV, right? Ever. So I joined LevelField Financial this summer. Our big news is that we just announced that we're buying a bank. Mm-hmm. So we will be hopefully the first bank in the US that offers both traditional banking services as well as digital asset is the word that we have to use right now with the regulators. Can't say Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But so you'll be able to, have financial services like take out a loan against your Bitcoin. You can have a Bitcoin collateralized credit card loan, which actually acts like a dynamic line of credit. Have a Bitcoin rewards card, Bitcoin, pay me in Bitcoin services. So you can get your direct deposited immediately converted. And the reason
that's awesome, actually.
It is.
Yeah. I like
is this going to be open for all consumers or is this only for businesses?
It is.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
Individual.
Retail and businesses.
That's huge. And Jake and I were talking a little bit ago about that. And in my opinion, that's probably one of the biggest obstacles for getting like the everyday person into Bitcoin, is that people are so used to banks holding Bitcoin or holding cash and holding all their monetary value that it scares the shit out of people to think about, I've got my paycheck that I'm getting every 2 weeks in a little hardware, drive in my freaking safe at my house. That's terrifying to people. They like the comfort of knowing that's at a bank and that bank has my money and everything's okay. So having that as an option for people, I think is huge from an adoption standpoint in the future. I think it's like, this is a big deal. And I hope people understand how big of a deal I think it is anyway. So.
Is this a purely digital bank or are there also physical branches as well?
No. So we announced that we're buying Burling Bank. They're based in Chicago. They actually bank some of your favorite Bitcoin companies already.
Okay.
They also bank some cannabis companies.
Nice.
Yes, they really have pioneered the space for cannabis.
How are they doing on the cannabis
assets.
side? Because I thought that there was like federal regulations where there was something about where like banks couldn't hold money from cannabis producers or cannabis companies. And so it was something like that. I don't know the space like intimately, but
I don't know the space intimately either.
They had a big issue to where they just had to like do everything in cash.
Yeah.
I don't know if they get loans for it or something. I don't know.
I think it's perhaps state by state, and Illinois is where they're based in Chicago. They're in the Chicago Board of Trade building. So that branch will remain. We'll have one in Houston, most likely Austin, most likely Miami.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about cannabis, so just take whatever I said, just with a complete grain of salt. I have no idea. But yeah, I know there's something like that.
Yeah, there's some sort of issue there with people in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
Like holding cash.
Well, so to your point, it's very hard if you're in the Bitcoin space right now or digital asset even space to open a bank account. So a lot of the people that I've been speaking to take it like a technology company that's building on top of the Lightning Network, for example. when they go in and tell people what their business is, people hear Bitcoin, even though they're a software company.
Yeah.
Right. They're no different than Microsoft, really.
So are companies getting like unbanked due to the fact that they're doing things?
It's just challenging for people to get bank accounts in this space. Yeah.
Are you seeing more and more companies, like say it's a SaaS company that is building something, say on Lightning, are you seeing them holding a ton of Bitcoin on their balance sheet and really operating within Bitcoin, or is it both Bitcoin and fiat?
So we're not live yet. We'll have the bank, we hope, in the next 6 months. We have to go through, we've presented a plan to the federal regulators, and hopefully we'll get that back. We did go through some sort of an initial conversation with them where they gave us the green light to proceed and present the formal application. So that's a great sign, because there have been others in the space who have not been given the green light at that stage. I don't know if they'll hold Bitcoin. I think it's maybe similar to the Bitcoin miners. Maybe they do at times, maybe they don't at times. Right. What I really love about our platform, and the reason why I joined the team, is our custody solution was we're using a solution that IBM developed with the Department of Defense. It's a level 4 security solution. It is how government top secrets are secured. So we're using that to store private keys. It's a cryptographic solution. So, you were mentioning a signing device, right? The little stick you can put into your computer. Yeah. When I worked at Unchained, great team, amazing folks.
Yeah.
What I discovered is that a lot of people, once they hear that that's what they need to do, they shy away from buying Bitcoin.
I agree.
Right? Because it's just like too hot to hold.
It's terrifying to them.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I just actually did a Bitcoin transaction 2 days ago. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really very comfortable with how that works. And it still makes me sweat when I'm sending Bitcoin. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, just think the basic of just messing up an address and just sending 10 Bitcoin to the wrong place, and you're just like, oh my God. And then it's just out there in the ether, and you never know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So our custody solution, it's fully custodial. But in one platform, right, on your phone or on your computer, you'll have your checking account, your savings account, your Bitcoin custody account. And then if you have credit cards or loans, other financial services, but all in one place. And the really cool thing about the custody is our deep cold storage solution. You'll have an address on the blockchain, so you can go verify your Bitcoin is there.
Nice. Okay.
Which, in light of recent things that have happened, that's pretty important. Because there's a lot of paper Bitcoin that were flying around.
Right.
There's a lot
FTX.
of it. There's at least one known exchange that didn't have the Bitcoin that they sold.
Right.
Yeah. So to me, that's huge. And that's really what got me to join the team. I jokingly say that I work for Bitcoin and LevelField pays me.
Yeah.
I'm actually very proud. I jokingly say that, and I'm very proud to work for LevelField, because I think what we're doing is enabling folks to come in and touch these assets, and that if they they probably wouldn't have done otherwise, because it's just too many steps, too complicated, too scary, too foreign.
I agree with that. I think a lot of these type of options for people will help adoption 100%.
So I think a lot of people in this space are pretty passionate, but I think that you kind of I feel lead the pack in passion about Bitcoin.
I agree.
And I want to know because you come from, if I remember correctly, you come from a commodity trading background with Enron and things like that. How did this what was your journey kind of with Bitcoin, and how did you become so passionate?
Well, I'm so grateful to have worked with Parker Lewis at Unchained. Right,
Parker's out there spreading the gospel of Satoshi.
Yeah,
he's doing the Lord's work.
I mean, I came with a lot of enthusiasm about Bitcoin when I met Parker and then joined the team, but just being around him frequently, it's like, oh my gosh, you realize just how much more it is than an asset. And in fact, I was thinking about it today. I wish that we'd quit referring to it as an asset. I wish that that whole conversation would go away, right? I wish that we'd quit talking about it as money, even though I largely explain it as the best form of money ever. I wish we'd quit talking about it as property. It's just a thing, right? And we didn't make it, right? We found it.
Yeah.
It's like oil. We didn't make it. It was put there, by God, and we discovered it. And it's the same with Bitcoin. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people will start thinking about it as something that just is and divorce themselves from it's an asset, it's property, it's money, it's whatever. Like you don't need to put it in that category. That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
And I do this kind of presentation, what the hell is Bitcoin? I gave it this weekend at a small college. And I try to explain it as money, right? But it's just so hard for people right now to grasp how this will become the world's money.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's so easy to grasp when you read the Bitcoin standard. It's like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Right.
Like it's hard to once you get orange pilled, it's like hard to unsee what you've seen, and you just see the world completely differently, and you're just like, we're so fucked. Like,
yes. Put on the magic glasses, man.
Yeah.
Okay, but we were talking about this earlier. There are so many people who wake up and, metaphorically read the same page of a book day after day, and they won't turn the page.
Mm-hmm.
They won't look in front of them. And that's the challenge right now. So I've given that book to, former ambassadors, heads of oil companies, heads of investment banks. And I would bet you dollars to donuts that not any of those guys have read it.
Probably not.
Right? Like you have to have the curiosity to go and like, you know what? For whatever part of Bitcoin is intriguing to you, Bitcoin is energy, Bitcoin is a tool for human rights. You have to be able to like turn the page and read the Bitcoin standard.
I think for me, it's wanting to be on the right side of history.
Oh, totally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like seeing that this was the podcast, whether it's Empower, whether it's just this community in general, like we are truly at the ground floor of something that I believe is going to be totally revolutionary. And 50 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, fuck, we were part of like a huge, huge movement that made like a really, really big difference. I
agree. And I think that obviously you need passionate people like Lisa out there talking about it, and not to go back just to, kiss LevelField's butt, but like these type of opportunities are what will drive those people to, even if they don't understand Bitcoin completely on the level like you do or I do, having that as an option is going to inevitably lead to people that would never have got into it before to get into it a lot earlier than what they would traditionally or without it. And I don't know, I think that after you do kind of get sold on Bitcoin, you start realizing its potential. I don't know anybody who got into Bitcoin who is now like, I was wrong.
Not one person.
I don't know one person like that.
Yeah, nobody
Not
gets
one.
like un-orange pilled.
No, yeah. Once you get it, you're like, it just goes, it blows up. And so that's why little things like this, it's not a little thing though, it's a big thing, but things like this are like, it's just one more brick that you're putting in the foundation of kind of establishing the church bigger. So I'm like, when I saw that announcement, I saw your post first about it. It was like, and maybe I would just take it a lot differently than some people. I was like, that is massive news. Like that is a big, big victory that hasn't gotten enough attention yet. I know it's getting some attention, but like, I just think it's a big moment. You know what I mean? It's a very big moment because it makes the everyday person who might never have gotten into it before, it gives them the ability to like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of mine and put it in there and see what happens. Like, I'm not responsible for losing it. And I did want to ask you some of that. Is like, I know maybe not FDIC, but like, is there some type of insurance that would come with assets that are being converted
That's a good
to
point.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. So with the FDIC, you're insured to what? $100,000 per account.
Something like
$250.
$250.
Okay, they upped it. That's good.
Yeah. So how's that get handled?
So when you have a trading account at LevelField, that trading account is FDI insured for the US dollars.
Okay.
Right. So your trading
The
account,
value of the Bitcoin in US dollars?
no, so not your Bitcoin in custody, right? But if you have dollars sitting in an account that where you can convert it, on our Easy Trade is what we call it, on our Easy Trade platform, right? It's a buy sell platform. We also have a pro platform where there's charting and you can place orders. But so those dollars are FDIC insured up to $250,000. And we are investigating private insurance for digital assets.
Okay.
We know that is out there. Some of the solutions that we've looked at already are just not really robust.
Yeah.
The companies really have great marketing around them, but when you dig into the meat of it, it's not a very robust form of insurance.
That is actually the same for the miners. Like we're running that problem, which you should call Hodling and Navigator Risk. Those are also good companies to talk to about your insurance needs. So
they're like, there's only a handful of companies that actually underwrite deals for Bitcoin miners too.
And people got to be careful about
we
the
gotta get Dan on
insurance
here
they
too.
get. Yeah, we should get Dan on here. Dan and Alex.
We can talk about his time with the Jets.
Right.
Nobody knows about that.
Oh, I don't know about that. No.
Yeah, he was quarterback for the Jets for like a week.
Dan was?
What? Oh, that does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And he'll say that he's like, yeah, I wasn't good enough to actually. He was like, I was only on the team for like 2 weeks, and then he got cut.
That's still awesome.
Yeah, and then he landed at hoteling.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I had no idea about that. That's pretty cool. But we definitely have him one now. So, but same thing, the insurance on those, you dig into it, it's like, this is not actually covering anything. So it's, you and I have talked about this before. There's so many different kind of ancillary businesses that around the Bitcoin space that need to grow and need to get legitimized a little bit more and have better product offerings. And this is a big one for the banking side, right? But that the insurance issues, I think across the board in the mining space and obviously in this as well, is an area of like the next level up that we need. That was almost a little like weird play on that. The next level up of like where we need to see improvement in the product offering. So
do you feel like, since it's going to be consumer facing, like, do you feel like you guys, I don't know, I was thinking about like marketing, but like marketing, like it seems like you guys are gonna be like the only ones that are kind of like doing that. Like, do you think, are people like flocking to you guys and signing up for a wait list, or is this something you have to go out there and like really like educate the public on?
Well, let me ask you, how do you think it's going in light of FTX and
Celsius,
that's Three Arrows, and, thank you Wall Street Journal and really every other mainstream media outlet for promoting Charlie Munger and what he says about Bitcoin.
God, that guy needs to just
it's hard.
Disappear already.
Yes,
I don't want to say die. That's terrible,
I can't say that about 90-plus-year-old man. But I did see a guy on CNBC was like, this Charlie Munger like has never read the Bitcoin Standard. He has no idea what he's talking
Joe
about.
Cronin, I saw that.
Right, did you see that? Yeah. So, which is true. It's like, come on, this guy.
Even my dad was in Empower last year, and his takeaway was that we got to spend 3 hours drinking Coors Light with Casey Donahue.
Yeah.
From the entire thing. And then in light of everything that's happened with FTX, he's just like, I don't fucking trust any of it, this and that. And I'm just like, as much as I try at family dinners, whenever I go up to the ranch and we hang out, like I'm making no progress whatsoever.
And some people are never going to get it. It's just the reality. Like some people are never going to get it.
Okay. But all right. So just to shift gears for just a second, because this is where I think we bring people, especially through Empower. And thank you so much for putting this on again. It was my favorite conference last year. It's so much fun.
It's going to be fun. This is going to go out like tomorrow. So it's March 8th and 9th.
March 8th and 9th.
Come out.
Yep.
It is without a doubt the best mining conference in space.
It is. It's all the cool people are there.
Right.
Like everybody you want to talk to in mining is there. It's cool. So what I spend a lot of time doing is talking to folks in the energy business. We were talking about somebody earlier who we won't, I guess we won't dox him, but going to talk to companies big and small, right? So in the case the guy Justin and I were speaking about, they're a small producer, not terribly small, but they are flaring like $80,000 worth of gas a day.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a small producer by any means.
So flaring.
Yeah.
And this gentleman is connected to someone at my office, and he said, hey, can we have breakfast? And so we went and had breakfast, and then we went and had breakfast again. And they are figuring out Bitcoin mining and what that really looks like. Okay, so those guys are figuring it out, and that'll just multiply. A couple of months ago, I sat down with one of the largest producers in the Gulf of Mexico. So they've got rigs out in the Gulf. Guys, they flare gas.
Right.
They use the gas to run the rig, but they all flare. I mean, there's not enough takeaway.
For some reason, I always assume there was always enough takeaway whenever you're building just a massive,
not all the time,
offshore facility.
Yeah, no,
I don't really think. I never really think about flaring offshore.
Right.
Yeah, no, they flare
That's
a lot.
interesting.
Well, and you think of all the countries around the world that, that most of them they own the oil companies. They're flaring like crazy.
I know.
I just got back from a trip where I was like, you got to be kidding me, the amount of flares at single locations that like dwarf anything we're doing here.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable. It's like, and honestly, this will get me on a tangent because it frustrates the shit out of me to listen to. I did that deal with Calpin on Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg Green. And they ripped on Bitcoin basically from the get-go of the intro. Now, by the end of it, which I'm taking this as a major victory, they did tacitly, actually it was a strong endorsement that like possibly we need Bitcoin mining because of, similar to, they compared it to suckerfish in the ocean. They keep it clean. And so they understood that concept. Now, they did not want to endorse Bitcoin at all, but it's like Bitcoin is what is going to drive these type of opportunities that we're undoubtedly cleaning up environmental issues that they make, top of the list problems, flare gas from oil and gas companies. Bitcoin is what solves that. Bitcoin mining is the activity that solves it, but Bitcoin, if it wasn't there, no one's going to go invest money to put dollars into Bitcoin mining if the Bitcoin is worth nothing. And so it's like, so Cal, when you're talking all this smack about all this stuff up front, you need it to be worth something. You shouldn't shit all over it because you need it to be worth something. Otherwise, people like me and Jake and everybody that goes into power, there's no reason for us to go put these operations out there that are eliminating the flare gas that you hate. You know what I'm saying? It's
absolutely.
It's like, guys, do you not see how
we need to get your boy Cal on the show.
I know he's a good dude, and and I'm glad that they did acknowledge the fact that I
think it was more positive than anything.
It was
right.
I
mean, but like you said, they didn't commit to endorsing Bitcoin.
They didn't endorse Bitcoin, but they did endorse Bitcoin mining.
I think at least shining a light on it, and especially you in those skinny jeans. Like I think
they were straight leg. They were straight leg jeans, or skinny jeans.
It was positive signal for the space.
No, it is, and I had a great time doing it, and they were all super cool and super nice. And it was actually, I wish they would have put more in there about the discussions we had about intellectual honesty in the energy discussion and making sure that like calling one clean and one dirty is not accurate at all. Number one, we've seen a lot of stuff coming up about cobalt mining, lithium mining, and they're terrible on the environment, and they're terrible from a human rights conditions standpoint. Bitcoin mining is like a major victory over all those. Now, I mean, you don't have the issues that you have in cobalt mining, lithium mining, solar panel production, solar panel surface disturbance. Like, there's a lot of things where Bitcoin mining is without a doubt a net positive for environmentalists. But, I will give them credit. They came in with preconceived notions, and they did admit Bitcoin mining is a necessary tool for cleaning up the environment from the things that they have issues with.
Look, they have reputational risk, right? Mm-hmm. That is an old concept. And it's just about the narrative shifting, right? It's about eliminating those narratives.
Right.
Because they're wrong. Mm-hmm. And we as humans are inherently greedy, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have coined a term, monetizing every molecule.
Yeah.
Right. Bitcoin mining allows everybody in the energy chain to monetize every molecule. And when they begin to realize that that's what's happening, if you're offshore, if you're a gathering plant, if you're flaring, somewhere, if you've got an orphaned well, right, just sitting as a liability, if and when all of those things begin to be monetized, right, that's just fulfilling your shareholder responsibility.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Really.
Right. And then that shifts the narrative. And hopefully, now I hear what you're saying about the intellectual honesty around energy. I mean, that's another topic that is really important to me. Because when you look at, last year I went to the Human Rights Foundation conference in Oslo. And when you look at countries who have access to property rights, right, those countries are wealthier. When you look at countries that have access to energy, those countries are wealthier. Their citizens do better. And so, I take every opportunity to bash the ESG narrative. I think it's, I don't want to point fingers, BlackRock, who created that garbage, but we need to stop.
Yeah.
It's not a, we were talking, maybe you're going to cut it out, this part where you were saying, like, we're at the moment of the creation of fire, right? Bitcoin, it's not about anything else other than literally discovering the best technology on earth.
Right.
The most impactful across humanity. Right. Yep. Bitcoin is the only form of property that can be held by every human on earth, regardless of property rights.
Yeah. Getting talked about in episode 1 about just, increasing energy production and consumption is going to yield more human prosperity across the world. And I've posted that quote on LinkedIn a few times, and there's been a few people that have like, oh, this is the biggest load of garbage. And I'm like, you obviously don't understand how energy actually works.
Right.
And side tangent, I've been watching this new show, Last of Us. Have you guys seen that? About the infected and stuff.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Well, it's cool because they point out, so it's like people get infected by these essentially like mushrooms, right?
Right.
And it's like essentially like a zombie show. And then it ends up being just like
my dad, so he's like, I don't watch zombie shows.
A few, like they specifically don't want to call it a zombie show, but then there's like these like essentially communes or like the last people that are kind of like surviving. But they kind of shine a light on the fact that like there's like no energy, right? Because oil and gas has completely disappeared at this point, right? Because everybody's just confined. And so like this one commune's powered by this one hydro plant that was like nearby, and they finally got it working and stuff like that. And you're just like, no shit. Like if this was just to disappear, like this is exactly the life that you kind of go back to. And so it's always, like I've said for years, like it's easy for us to be in our glass castle here in the US and be spoiled, but not look at the rest of the world who doesn't have, reliable, abundant, or cheap energy to
we
be able
take
to have
for
the kind of
granted
life
just flipping the light switch on.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of places where that's a big deal, and it's easy for us to pretend that like, I mean, most of the people that I hear shit on Bitcoin are Americans, but if you talk to people in like El Salvador, Africa, different places that do suffer from the situations like you just kind of laid out, they have a very different take on what energy does for them, right? Yeah. And you think about even like San Salvador, you get tons of people, like basically a huge proportion of huge portion of the country live in San Salvador. And it's always like, well, I've wondered before, like, why don't you just move out there? They don't have power. And it's like, so you just stacking people on top of people. That's how you create slums and all these different things. And it's like literally just having access to a light switch or a gas stove could do wonders for everybody across the country, everyone. And Bitcoin mining can bring that to the people because it makes sense to make an investment at that point. I can go and I can start monetizing this energy before people are even out there. So it makes sense. It's like, it's such an easy concept when you start understanding what it takes to get energy somewhere. It's like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. So I talked to a guy in Dubai that was talking about, he said, I don't want to say who it is because he's very private. Brilliant dude. I was so impressed when I left the meeting with him. But he builds nuclear plants. And he said, Bitcoin mining is one of the most valuable tools for a nuclear plant. They would mine with it if it was worth 0. they would mine Bitcoin. And I was like, really? And he explained from a safety standpoint what having a load offtake like Bitcoin mining, because there's nothing like it. There's nothing that can go on and off in the speed that it can to balance loads coming off of the nuclear facilities. Like, there's nothing like it. There's not ever been anything like it, and I don't think there'll be anything like it.
We need to get some
and
nuclear
that is
guys
also
on
an
here.
endorsement for proof of work.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's so many applications that you can use it for. And like the way he laid it out from a nuclear power standpoint, and regardless of what a lot of people might think, like that is to me ultimately the way the world is going to have to go. Ultimately, is like,
if nuclear was invented today, people would be like, "Oh my god, all of our problems in the world are solved."
Right.
The fact that we just had a few meltdowns back when technology, like, look at other comparable technology.
They're like 60 years old.
Yeah, like around the same time. Like, look at cars back then. Look at the fact that we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have, like, technology has evolved exponentially since then.
Right.
And so my confidence in new nuclear facilities coming up is that we would probably have it figured out.
Right. I agree. And this dude builds them, and he was like, "This is the best technology I've seen for load balancing, and from a safety standpoint, it's huge for a nuclear facility."
I love it.
So I left there, and I was like, "Dude, this guy might be the smartest person I've ever talked to."
I want to meet him.
He's awesome. I'll tell you who it is afterwards. But yeah, I was super impressed. It was, and Dubai is freaking crazy.
I haven't been. It's on my list this year.
Burj Khalifa. Oh, dude. It felt like, I'm not like a big metaverse guy. It felt like I had VR goggles on.
Really?
I'm walking around like this. There's not a piece of trash on the ground. The freaking Burj Khalifa, the clouds, like the other buildings look like it's like twice the size of the Empire State Building. It's crazy.
So think about this. All of that, everything you see as far as you can see, that's all oil money.
Oh my gosh! That place
So do you think
they're building their own islands?
Do you think oil and gas is going away tomorrow?
No. I left there honestly, and I was like, we got a lot of work to do. We want to keep up with these guys because it was impressive, really impressive, super impressive, scary impressive. Like, oof, man. And I'll tell you, getting through the airport was easy. Super easy.
Yeah,
I loved it. It was incredible. But,
well, but that's the game theory of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the nation state game theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Explain that. Can you mind walking through that?
So I think I first got tipped off to the Bitcoin is, a strategy for national defense.
Really?
By Jason Lowery.
I haven't heard this.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Do you know who Jason Lowery is?
I know who he is. I
Okay.
haven't really read anything from him.
So MIT fellow, he's a part of Space Force, which I guess is a part of the military.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And he published his thesis. It actually came out yesterday on Amazon. In 4 hours, I think, on Amazon. It became the #1 engineering book, #1 book in technology, like number 3 or 4 book overall. But his thesis is that, well, I haven't read the book. Read the book, but I've heard him speak a number of times. That Bitcoin, he uses the words, is a form of power projection. But really, just at its most simple, the way I really think about it, I think back to 1944. We come out of World War II, where if you look at who had the wealth in the world, it was the U.S. And why was that? It's because we had basically gold. We had more gold than anybody else.
Okay.
And we were making loans to other countries so that they could rebuild their cities that were destroyed during the war.
Right.
Well, over time, right, we are not the largest holder of gold. And we have basically created the petrodollar
to replace it
arrangement.
Yeah.
Gold isn't going to back our currency, right? So 1971, Nixon, Simon Kissinger find themselves facing the Arab nations quadrupling the price of oil.
Right.
So in 73, they're like, holy shit, we're in trouble. What are we going to do? They hatch this plan whereby Treasury Secretary Simon goes to Saudi Arabia and meets with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and says, hey, we've got an idea for you, the petrodollar. We, the U.S., will protect you militarily and we'll sell you weapons. in exchange, you
sells cheap oil.
You sell all of your oil in US dollars, right? So for your oil, you receive dollars. And with those dollars, with those dollars, you will recycle those into US treasuries.
Okay.
So when people say to me, well, isn't Bitcoin a threat to the US dollar? I always say, well, think about that, right? The US government is a threat to the US dollar. Because what did we do to Russia when they invaded Ukraine? Rightly or wrongly, what did we do? We cut them off of the SWIFT system. When we did that, we signaled to every nation, if you're holding US dollar denominated assets, whether it's
you can't do
treasuries or, something else, right? Yeah. Your money is not safe. And so if we look back at, if we look, 5 or 10 years ago, Russia and China held, I don't know, a good deal of their assets in US dollar denominated debt, treasuries. That has drastically reduced. Well, why? Well, because we're debasing our own currency and they see risk in that. But more so, now that we've cut Russia off of SWIFT and seized $600 billion of their assets, what is that signaling to China? If China invades Taiwan, we're going to keep their money, right? We're going to kick them off SWIFT. And then, so that incentivizes these other nations to go out and form their own money transfer or, monetary agreement, which is what has happened, right? China, Russia, India now have their own agreement. And it's also having these other countries think about whether or not they're going to accept or whether or not they should accept dollars for their natural resources.
Right.
So anyway, going back to 71, the way that I understand it is that it was the first time we were printing dollars in order to fight a war.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Really?
We were still in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And Nixon wanted to continue on, and we didn't have the money to fund it. And so we started printing. And that printing has allowed us to continue wars all over the world for decades.
Right.
Right? Because it's just, we can just keep doing it.
Yeah. You just print it over and over and over.
It's your option. Do you print money or do you tax your people?
Well, yeah. They do both sometimes.
Already taxed enough as it is.
Yeah.
So what's easier?
I have not thought about it like that, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's,
so there's a great article in Bitcoin Magazine if you want to Google it. Alex Gladstein wrote it.
Okay, yeah.
And it really lays out how the petrodollar came to be in the forever war situation.
Right.
But going back to Bitcoin as a strategy for national defense, I mean, if we are viewed as someone with empty coffers, right? All right. So what backs the US dollar?
Full faith and credit of the army.
At this point, yeah.
The military.
Our military
guns,
power. Bullets.
Right.
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Our ability to basically kick anybody's ass.
And historically, the nation, historically, the nation with the biggest navy has been the nation that controls the world reserve currency. So if we look back to Great Britain, they had the biggest navy. Everything revolved around the pound sterling. So what if we as a nation started to hold Bitcoin on our balance sheet, right? So going back to the game theory, I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that Putin and Russia have Bitcoin.
I think they're mining Bitcoin.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who has natural resources that are plentiful and, also an authoritarian government, I mean, they have figured this shit out.
Right.
They have. I mean, I was just in Switzerland last week and met with one of the founders of SIBA Bank, and they are embracing Bitcoin and crypto broadly because their investors are demanding it.
Right.
And their governments are figuring out how to, work with this new technology.
Right.
Like, why are we in the US allowing the whole world
to get ahead of us?
Get ahead of us.
I don't know. I've wondered the same thing.
It's so dangerous.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't know. I've thought that too, is like, I don't want to turn it into a political issue, but it's like, why we have to get on the ball here. We're getting, like, we all know how Bitcoin's hard to actually get. It's not like FTX. Like, all these people that thought they owned Bitcoin, they don't own Bitcoin. They just own paper. And it's hard. There's a lot fewer Bitcoin out there than what people realize. And I do think this next bull run, especially after the next halving, people are really going to understand how hard it is to actually accumulate Bitcoin. There's not as much to go around. And when that clicks with people, the price appreciation is going to be insane, I think. And because think about all the Bitcoin that people thought they owned off of FTX, that they thought they were there. And they had 1.1 Bitcoin total ever. And it's like that. Think of how much buying that is to go into the market. If people actually understand the custody and all that, and they're buying Bitcoin and then taking it off of these exchanges, the exchanges won't even be able to keep up with supplying those people with Bitcoin. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around. And so we're fixing to see some of that hit the fan. But at that point, I'm hoping the U.S. isn't too far behind the boat already, where we're not positioned like some of the other countries. But also, I'll go on another tangent. We are so caught up in like our lifetimes and how things are during our lifetime that we forget. Like, you're talking about all this stuff from World War II and all that. But even then, that we're talking 80 years ago. You know what I mean? That's not that long ago. Mm-hmm. We got people. My grandparents are older than that. There's a lot of people older than that. And even if you look at it like just removed your parents, your grandparents, like these people, this is a tiny microcosm of time that we're living in right now. And if you look at it like, we think it'll never change. We think things are going to be, we think the U.S. is always going to be on top. And we think that these are the way things are. And this is how they end up being. That stuff can change really, really freaking fast. And it's not going to take much to push us over the edge when we're the ones who are basically killing our own currency right now and killing our own economy. When it falls off the cliff, what happens then if we're not positioned like the rest of the world is, or the rest of the up and coming countries that like have recognized this early on, that things are not going to work this way for long? And honestly, I come back from Dubai and Middle East area, and I'm like, they've got a lot of stuff figured out. And like, I don't feel the kind of shaky economy, even though, I was only there for a week or so, but just walking around, it doesn't feel the same. Like,
interesting.
It doesn't have the same vibe. Like, I can hear the.
Well, so kind of a little bit of a counterpoint. So our buddy Mark Meyer does our BDE show with us every single week. New show, go listen to it. It's about energy. Mark's a very fucking smart guy. And he was listening to some comments from Dan Pickering. And Dan went to the Galleria recently, and he was like, the place was just swamped. And everywhere you look, it's just spinning. And he was like, the Fed has a problem. They're supposed to increase interest rates to make it to where you're not going to be spending as much. And he was like, but people are just spending regardless of what interest rates are, regardless of how much it costs to buy a house, regardless of how much it costs to buy a car. Average car notes right now are over $1,000 for people.
What?
It's astronomical.
Are you serious?
I shit you not.
That's
I went to go look at trading my car in for a truck, and I'd done the math 2 years prior, and I was like, here's kind of the range I'm going to be in. No. He was like average car notes between $1,000 and $1,200 a month, and I said, not for me.
That's insane.
That ain't for me. If I'm spending $1,200 a month, I better drive like a 911.
Yeah,
not a truck.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's scary. So they're gonna have to keep raising interest rates. Well, you would know more about it. What do you think's gonna happen? What's coming next?
How fucked are we?
Yeah.
So fucked.
Okay.
Are we?
Good.
Dude, I love Lee's.
I pour another one.
Yeah.
So fucked.
Like what? Yeah. How fucked are we?
So money is supposed to be a representation of human energy, right? I got up today. I had two iced coffees, picked up a taco, went to work, did my job. My paycheck will show up, twice a month, right? So money is a representation of the energy of my being.
Right.
So lifetimes are lifetimes, right? We only live for this fixed finite, period. We don't know what that is, but it's finite. They're not forever lifetimes. So if money is a representation of human energy, and human energy is finite, then that means money must be finite,
right.
or your money is broken.
Mm-hmm.
What
Or
will
not
happen?
finite. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that we can't continue to raise interest rates because it's my understanding that making our debt payment is already challenging.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big point too. We're going to raise the interest rates to a point where you can't even service your own debt. Right? Is that how it would theoretically work?
I think that we're almost there, right? Because I think the debt rolls over. I wish someone smarter than me were here on this macro topic. Maybe you guys know, but I think the debt rolls over every few years. And so when that debt all reprices at this higher rate, like a car note, right? But let's just say that you had a car note and it was 4 or 5 or 6%. And now you go out and I think the average car note is like 8 or 9%.
It's 8 or 9% now.
Right. So you're being repriced.
Right.
Well, it's the same with the debt. The debt is being repriced.
Yeah.
At some point, right, we can't afford to make those debt payments. So I don't think we're going to be able to continue raising interest rates. I also think that they're completely asleep at the wheel because, there's so much negative around Bitcoin and there's just this, I don't know, like irresponsibility on the fact that they work for the citizens, right? They work for us.
It's not, I don't think they perceive it that way. I think it's that we work for them. I think it's how they kind of perceive it. Ultimately, the government operates like an 18-year-old with a credit card who's able to raise their own credit limit whenever they want by printing money. And so what do? It's a spending problem, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've got all these like 75, 80-year-old people that are in politics that have the ability to just spend as much money as they want, even though a lot of them are like career politicians and they're so far removed from like actual life for people who have actual jobs and like do real things that actually contribute to society. And they just spend. So then we print, and then we get massive inflation, and then the dollar's devalued, and then we're all fucked. And then they try to balance that out with higher interest rates, and then, but guess what? The general public is kind of like, fuck it, we're just going to keep spending,
right?
And then it's just one. I don't know where this goes, but I'm fucking terrified if I'm being honest.
I just don't.
Why are you terrified? You own Bitcoin.
But still, I'm terrified for like everything else crashing down around me. It's not fun to be the only one who wins.
And I also think like ultimately, if everything goes south, right? Say the dollar crashes and the economy here crashes, your Bitcoin's going to get dinged too. It's not going to be completely, I guess, immune to it. I think it'll actually get hit pretty hard as well.
I think it's plausible because we've like, if you look at the history of like regimes or one particular government historically, we are past the average expiration. Like,
we're well past it.
Like, we're well past that.
Yeah.
And so like the chances of all of this falling in the same way that Rome fell, in the same way that everything else fell, England and so on.
I need my
it's likely.
I want to start talking about Rome turned into
I feel like
Vatican,
this is like
man.
you've entered the tinfoil hat section of the show. We do this every week.
Hats here, then we just put them on and we start talking about some of those stuff. There's definitely some tinfoil hat like comments that we make sometimes.
I don't know. I don't like to be like all doom and gloom or like playing to conspiracy theories, but if you just like look at all the signs, like it's almost like some of the damage is like irreversible.
Well,
I agree.
You guys are so young though. I mean, my parents are in their 80s and they live on a fixed income. And so when you say that the people in Congress or in our government, even the people in the Fed, right, if they're in their 70s or 80s, they have loads of money. They've had other careers. They have loads of money. It's like, but if you look at my parents and the millions of other Americans out there who, didn't amass a fortune, right? And that's something I think we should all be fearful of.
Yeah.
That, do I have enough money to live for the rest of my life? It like makes me fight even harder for Bitcoin. Right. And I'm, maybe my parents in their 80s, like maybe it's too late. It's certainly not too late for somebody in their 60s. It's not if you're in their 50s.
Yeah.
You know, we have teenage kids. I mean, I make my daughter save in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I do. I make my son too.
Yeah,
and my daughter, but yeah, both of them.
Somebody
I brought
sent
both
me
my kids to Empower, and so they're getting orange pilled, like whether they like it or not.
Well, my daughter is already fully orange pilled. In fact, she just pitched her college on doing an independent major on Bitcoin.
Nice, that's
no
awesome.
Shit. That's awesome.
That's super cool. Yeah.
You want to know what they said?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah.
That seems like a very narrow topic.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
See, they don't know
It's
anything.
so freaking
it's
broad.
Like, gosh, this is like, it's amazing how early we are, and like people think it's too late. You know, people think it's too late, and it's like, man, we're so early.
Well,
so
not
early.
to like brag on her, which I do endlessly, but like this is an Ivy League school.
Really? Where'd she go?
Cornell.
Dang.
So
Lisa, you're a rock star.
yeah, I know. You know
Parent
what?
of the year, freaking mom of the year. Ah, this is great.
Bitcoiner of the year.
Bitcoiner of the year.
Yeah.
Miss Bitcoin America.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks. So I will tell you, I do feel like I have won like the Academy Award of Parenting. Sorry, not to diverge from Bitcoin, but I was with one of my good friends and my daughter and I, the three of us. And I guess I got up, went into the house. We were outside and went into the house for something. And my daughter looked at my friend and she said, you know, Aunt Shell, my mom and I are a pair. And it's
awesome.
like, so then I hear about this later and I'm like, okay, I don't want to die now, but I could die now. Like I just won the Academy Award of
That's
parenting.
awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
great. That's super cool.
sweetest kid anyway.
You know, I just had an idea. So we've had, you know, Jake, or I'm sorry, freaking Joel from 10 Net Zero.
Of course I do.
Okay, Joel, and we had Steve on there. They've known each other for a long time. We've talked about this. Gideon has a awesome video. I don't know if you guys put it out yet at all. Have you? Or you can show it at Empower.
The one in the helicopter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I love that
Okay, so you saw it. All right, good.
Of course, it's the greatest
We're
ad
putting
ever.
a ton of money behind it, so
All right,
everybody's seen it.
Everybody's seen it. Good.
Love
Okay,
it.
it's awesome, right? We need to do another one though. We want to do one with Joel and Steve, where we're doing Kenny Powers and have a pitch off like Kenny and Reg Mackworthy, right? So we need to do that one, but we also should do one with Lisa. You could be like Wonder Woman or like Captain Marvel style. It could be Miss Bitcoin America.
Lisa and spandex.
Yeah, no.
If she have the bracelets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bitcoin
The
bracelets.
Bitcoin bracelets.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
Okay, so I have two things to tell you, actually. This is like hugely funny and embarrassing. I read yesterday that wearing spandex, actually, women that wear spandex, it actually creates cellulite.
Are we
So, like-
talking like yoga pants?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're like,
It's the greatest invention.
I was
known
gonna
man.
say this is the greatest thing ever is yoga pants. Come on, Lisa.
okay, totally
We're
disagree.
cutting this out. We're cutting this
We cut
one.
this part out.
It's not coming in the show. We're throwing it out.
Okay, so when I was small, I think like 5 or 6 or 7, something like that. So I was, all right, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the F word. I was the fat kid. And I was just not attractive and whatever. Anyway, I was the fat little kid. So my mom had me in ballet lessons and the ballet teacher came up to my mom and was like, yeah, I don't think Lisa really is great at ballet. Like, I don't think you should bring her
Wow.
anymore.
Wow.
And so my mom was like, you know, I think there's like something else out there for you. It's okay. And I think that year, instead of like being a ballerina or whatever for Halloween, which is what I typically like to be, I was Wonder Woman. Like the cuffs.
Nice.
So the whole
See,
thing's just going to come
it's
full circle at this point.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. We need
Anyway,
to do it.
I'm
Let's make
sorry.
it happen, man.
I don't know how
Let's
we got
make it
off.
happen.
How we got off on that tangent.
We can make that happen
I think you should.
pretty easily.
I think you should. I think you should.
No
we got, then
spandex,
we got
please.
the Gideon. We got Reg Mackworthy and Kenny Powers and
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Okay. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Perfect. It's coming. It's coming.
Okay. So let's talk about Empower.
I'm excited. We've got from now, so today, the time of recording, February 21st, we've got about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So March 8th and 9th. You know, it's hard to say in terms of like attendance where we in. We're in a bear market, right? And so you've seen it with like the Houston Bitcoin meetup, as with like all the other Bitcoin meetups. You know, the true believers come out in droves. Everybody else who's kind of like a fair weather fan kind of like disappears. But I'm excited, 2 days of content with all my favorite people. So regardless, I think it's going to be a really great time. really cool venue. You know,
Really cool venue.
713 Music Hall. It's like a totally elevated experience. Really nice restrooms. That's a major selling point for me.
Yeah, true.
Like you don't have to worry about anything being not up to par.
Yeah, I was just there. They had the Kirkland and Ellis party during
Oh,
Nate.
yeah. I wanted to go by and check it out, but I didn't have a chance to.
Phenomenal party.
get away.
It was my first Nate
Oh,
party.
that was your first Nate?
I was like, wow, is
Nate's
this
wild.
what this is all about?
Nate,
Y'all's Nate's
used to-
party was legit. I mean, it was
Yeah,
like
Oh,
good.
your
We had
party.
a good-
Oh, well, of
we had a good
course.
it
turnout.
was almost like
It was
I
great.
felt like a birthday party for me because it was like I knew everybody in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool as shit. I can go anywhere and I know everybody in this entire room.
That is probably one of the best things about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Is this whole space is so small, and everybody's like
It's growing,
super
though.
cool. Oh, it is growing.
It's growing.
It's growing a lot. But everybody in it is pretty like-minded, and it makes it a lot of fun.
So can I add something to that like-mindedness?
Of course.
All right. So in one conversation that I've had in the last couple of months, I was sitting in a Houston billionaire's office, and I'd never met the gentleman before. And there were some other folks in the room as well. So we were just all sort of chatting, getting to know one another.
Time out. If we guess who the billionaire is, will you confirm it?
Not on camera.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
And so we come around to the Bitcoin conversation. And he looked at me and he said, all right, I want to know, he pointed at me, I want to know what you think about this. You tell me, what do you think? Because I'd been pretty quiet. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, I don't know you, but I've been sitting here for 20 minutes with you. And in that 20 minutes, I've gathered that you own real estate out west. You've spent a career in the energy business.
Oh, I could probably guess who this
You,
I was gonna say,
you
wait.
own
is. I'm whittling
Yeah.
down.
That's what I was looking for clues.
you own gold and metals. You love the national parks. You love to hunt and fish. You love your family. You'd rather be outdoors than anywhere else. To me, that is somebody that aligns with, the ethos of Texas, but liberty and freedom and everything that America was built on. And if you are aligned in that ethos, you are a Bitcoiner.
Right. Boom. Man, see, Lisa, you're freaking dope.
Wow.
So dope. That's awesome.
Well, you know what he said?
What?
I already own Bitcoin.
Dang.
That's
you figured
awesome.
him out.
That's awesome.
Of course he did, right?
Yeah.
When you figure out that, and these are the people that need to come to Empower,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Like, forget everything you've heard about Bitcoin. Just forget it. Like, here's the deal. Come to Empower and listen to people talk about how it's a tool in the energy space,
Right.
how it'll help you monetize every molecule, right? And how, if you're a Texan, or maybe you're not, maybe you're from Oklahoma or Ohio or somewhere else, if you're in the natural resource business, natural resources are a huge part of our national security,
Yeah.
right? Can we
Right.
all agree
Oh, yeah,
after this
100%.
year,
Huge
right?
part.
Huge part of
It's
national security.
undeniable.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And Bitcoin will be recognized that way as
Right.
well. So if you are a patriot, right? If you believe in freedom and liberty and private property rights,
Sovereignty.
then you believe in Bitcoin. You may not know it yet.
Yeah, you don't know it yet.
Right.
Man, that's awesome.
You've been
way to
told
put
the
it.
wrong story.
Yeah.
You've listened to the wrong, turn CNBC off.
When you're
turn
trying
all
to
that crap off.
understand the way it works, and it's like people don't understand the way Visa works. You know what I mean? But they get so caught up in it, but they use a Visa every day. And it's like, stop worrying about trying to understand it and understand what it does for people. That's it to me.
Guys, hear me out. What if we started our own country?
I'm totally done with that.
So we're going to,
Like
because Texas
Bitcointopia.
is going to succeed, right? We're gonna stop all this nonsense.
I would be, at this point, like I used to be like, oh, that'll never happen. I would be fucking 100% totally okay with that happening.
Like a real,
and just Texas
I
going
think
back to being the best country
realistically,
ever.
Like that is we are getting more polarized, and with the freedom of movement that we have, people will move to the places where they want to be around like-minded people. I honestly don't think it's that far-fetched to continue to see the polarization and people congregating in areas that are more like-minded. It makes total sense.
The U.S. would be taking a massive L by losing Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, huge.
Massive.
Huge.
Do you know that there's conversation, and I'm a little bit out of date on this. I looked this up 6 or 8 months ago, But there's conversation about the state of Texas basically refunding extra money to folks, if you've paid property tax, right, or through sales tax, like that we've had a surplus. Okay, I'm not exactly sure if I have that correct.
No, I've heard something like that.
But
yeah.
If we look at what Riot did in Rockdale, right, they've built this enormous facility for Bitcoin mining. But within the community of Rockdale, it's my understanding that their public works, public service has vastly improved.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So if we continue this throughout Texas and we, which basically leads to prosperity for Texas because states get revenue from sales tax, right? So that makes Texas a wealthier place.
Right.
So what if Texas, through these revenues of business and ingenuity, right? What if we didn't have property taxes anymore?
I'd love it.
Right? I mean, we don't have a state income tax, which is great.
But our property
taxes are high.
Yeah, very high. Right.
So what if we don't have property tax, right? That invites innovation.
Dude, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Lisa for governor.
I mean, you think about it. We've got NASA here, but we've also attracted not only SpaceX, but Blue Origin. We have a significant amount of natural resources, right?
We have the best solar opportunities in the country.
Best solar opportunities.
Some of the best wind.
We also have one of the biggest ports in the entire nation, right? So
we've got everything.
Why do we need the rest of the U.S.?
We do not need them as much as they need us, in my opinion.
We should start campaigning for this.
Look at how much of the energy production comes from Texas.
I don't know what the number is. What is the number?
It's massive.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Huge.
Just on the oil and gas side alone, it's massive.
Yeah. And I mean, the vast majority of the drilling and production going on for oil is Texas, West Texas.
Dude, imagine how much of the nonsense we could just not participate in anymore by just being just focused on Texas.
I'm not, I'm a patriot, but I'm also very realistic. And
I know you're a realist.
Yeah, right.
Right, you're a realist. And so if I can just go back to Empower just for a second. So our mutual friend, Dan Morrison, and I have been having this conversation.
I love Dan Morrison.
Dan's a great guy.
He's such a good dude.
That hair.
And he's the hair, and he's just a sharp guy.
He's like a modern day Fabio.
Sharp.
The Fabio of oil and gas.
Fabio of sludge, right?
Yeah, amalgamated sludge.
Okay, so for everybody that doesn't know who Dan Morrison is, he was a former equity research analyst that covered the energy space and actually is friendly with a lot of these energy CEOs that are sort of his vintage, if you will.
We need to have him on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to have him on the show, and I need to talk to you about Empower because I have an idea for a panel.
Oh,
he's a genius. I mean, I'll just say I've never asked him for his Bitcoin price prediction, but I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about price the other day for no really good reason. Doesn't matter if it goes to zero. I'm never getting rid of mine. And so I just texted him, hey, I've never asked you what's you're an equity research analyst. Like, what do you think about Bitcoin price? And I get back this email.
Really?
It's like, here's how I think about it. And I thought, yeah, he's a former equity research analyst.
He knows what he's
that
doing.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But one of the things that he highlighted for me is just the opportunity within the midstream space. So if you're a gathering facility, apparently those things go down for planned or unplanned maintenance.
100%.
Right.
Right. So then you've got to tell whoever owns the gas, sorry, we're going to be down, or we don't know that we're down, or whatever. Right. So then that gas either has to be diverted or, I guess, shut in. I'm not really an expert on that, but or the flare, right? But if that gathering plant had miners on site,
I've talked about this a lot too. Yes.
We've talked about this on at least 3 to 4 episodes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
midstream facilities.
All of these midstream companies need to come to Empower.
I keep saying midstream companies would be the ones that make, I think the Bitcoin mining for flare gas and all that, midstream companies and service companies. That's who should be doing it.
Yeah.
It makes total sense because I can't tell you how many times when I was at Indigo, we couldn't have, we had our own midstream company. The Momentum Midstream was basically our sister company for Indigo Minerals. And we still run into situations where pipeline can't get there in time. And we work together with them every freaking day on making sure we got the routes, making sure you got the right of way, having the pipe put in. every day. And we still run into situations where you can't get some wells online because, you're 3, 4, 5, 6 months out. And it's like, well, if I'm a midstream company, I have commitments on gas, right, from my producers. I'm going to go set up a facility. I'm going to have miners on hand with pods where I can go out there and start mining day one as soon as it's on. I may be out there for 4 months, 6 months, whatever. But all that time I'm mining Bitcoin. It makes sense for me from a midstream standpoint. And the E&Ps are happy because they can bring their well production online. But if I'm a Bitcoin miner, that project's not good for me. Like I've got to buy miners and deploy capital for something I'm only going to have for 4 to 6 months. But it makes total sense for a midstream company. So it's like, this is a no-brainer for them. Well, and they should come to it.
We've seen the same thing on the OFS side, particularly with pressure pumpers. So fracking companies, whenever they're not actually fracking a stage, being able to fire those bad boys up and actually mine Bitcoin.
That's
actually
a good
on
point.
The rigs.
That's a great point.
But here's a free fucking business idea. Just cut me in whenever you do it. If you built a mobile Bitcoin mining little operation on a trailer and you pulled up to all the frack sites to when they're actually not fracking a stage, and you mine Bitcoin during that time with massive amounts of power.
My boy Leachman's already, we were talking about doing that 2 years ago.
I just met with somebody too. And I met with a Bitcoin miner, and he pitched an investor, very high net worth person. And unfortunately, the high net worth person was like, that's never going to work. And we were both like,
but it will.
Yeah, it will.
It will.
It will work.
It will, and it is happening.
Coolest billionaire I've ever met, which is only one. But
by default.
Tillman Fertitta, coolest freaking dude. Yes. Like, and I only wanted to bring this up because you talked about the billionaire. Dude gave me first NBA basketball game I ever got to go to. And I'm a huge basketball guy. My dad was a college basketball coach, just retired. This is actually his first year not coaching in like 45 years, 44, whatever. I used to coach high school basketball, one state, by the way, but had like,
no big deal.
No big deal. We were freaking amazing. We had like 8 D1 players on our team, but
you won state, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. But kind of been successful at every stop I made. But whatever. Joking. I'm a legend in my own mind if you ask me. But first, I'd never been to an NBA basketball game, and it was one day after practice. The AD called and he's like, "Hey man, so Tillman just called, asked if you and I wanted to go to a basketball game, Rockets game." I was like, "All right, cool." He's like, "All right, I'd love to go. I've never been." We get the tickets, and there's no seat number on it, right? Just a barcode. And it's got like Tracy McGrady like dunking it, and it's like metallic and black. And I was like, dude, these seats are freaking ridiculous. Gotta be. So get there, drive up on my beater, freaking Jeep Liberty, got like McDonald's bags in the back, and freaking literally like just got back from like a trip to Missouri. I had gravel road, dirt all over the outside of it.
Oh yeah.
So we pull up on our parking pass.
Skinny jeans.
Yep. Well, this is before skinny jeans. I'm old, bro. And
90s dad jeans.
90s dad's jeans.
The New Balances.
Yeah. Might have been cargo pants. I don't know. But so we pull up and realize this is like a valet parking at the stadium. And like there's like Bentleys and freaking Lambos and like all these freaking badass cars. And I got this Jeep Liberty with literally McDonald's bags in the back. And I pull up and the guy was like, and I get out and I hand him the ticket. I was like, am I in the right spot? He's like, yeah. But he was like confused because I shouldn't be, obviously, based on my car. So he takes the car and we go walking in and scan the ticket. And they're like, hold on right here. They bring up this like, looks like a waiter, right? He's got a vest on and all this. And I'm like, okay, follow him. He's going to take you to your seats. Go walking down. I'm like, oh shit, these are great seats. Keep walking down. We get like right behind the bench for the Lakers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like right behind the bench. He steps out on the court. He's like, come on. And I'm like, what?
You're courtside?
Freaking on the bench with the Lakers. I sat next to Kobe Bryant, talked to Phil Jackson, Kobe. Me and Kobe were boys. We were boys. We were like, I'm like talking to him. At first I was so nervous too. And I called one of my buddies. I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. I'm on the freaking bench with the Lakers. And he's like, I hate saying this word, but whatever. On air anyway. He's like, dude, tell Kobe.
What word did you gonna say?
Yeah. He goes, tell Kobe he's a little bitch. And I was like, yeah, I will. I'll definitely go do that. Game gets ready to start.
Bitch?
Yeah, he's a little bitch.
Bitch is the word you don't like saying on
I
it?
know. Just on
I thought it was
camera.
so much worse than
I
that.
did too. I was like, ready for it.
I know. It's not that bad a word, but whatever.
All right.
So I'm standing there, right? Game's getting ready to start, and Kobe stops literally right in front of me. I'm standing there. His shoulder's like right here in my chin. I'm like, I mean, he's He's this far. He's 6 inches away.
It's the Black Mamba, baby.
Black Mamba, man. I love it. And he's standing there just kind of hopping. And I was like, Kobe. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah. And I go, you're so awesome. You're so awesome. Go get him, Kobe. And I'm like, go get him. He goes, I will. And he goes out. Dude was freaking ridiculous. So like the first 3 quarters, he's talking to me the whole game. And Tillman's sitting across over at half court on the other side. And he's like waving at us the whole time. He's sending drinks over to us, shirts, all kinds of gear. And he's like texting. He's like, come on, I want to take you to Lexus Lounge afterwards. I'll go in there with them. And he's like, I'm like hanging out. I'm like, this is the best day of my freaking life. And so I'm sitting on the bench back at like third quarter. Kobe's like talking a little bit. He does not care about what Phil Jackson had to say at all. Didn't even listen to timeouts. And so fourth quarter starts and they're down by like 5, 6, something like that. Kobe immediately moves like 3 seats down away from me. Won't talk to me anymore. I'm like, Kobe.
You broke up already?
Yeah, I was like, well, already, dude? You just dropped me in the fourth quarter? Like, we've made 3 quarters. We've been best friends now. I was pretty sure I was going to be his agent after the game. Like, I was ready. I was like, this is my moment.
Kobe did you like that.
He did me like that. He didn't talk to me anymore, but he dropped 18 in the fourth quarter. And freaking, I'm pretty sure it was like 18. Ended up coming back and winning. I was waiting for like some shoes or something after didn't get it. But Tillman was the dude who made that happen for me. So,
bro, that's like me in pickleball. I'm like the Kobe of pickleball, bro.
You're the Kobe of pickleball.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get her on the court with you. I'm from Missouri, dude. We played pickleball in PE when we were like 6. We are a pickleball
Is that
capital.
right? I'm from Missouri.
Are you from Missouri?
Yeah.
Bro.
Where at?
St. Louis.
Are you a Cards fan?
Yes.
Dude. Lisa, you just became my favorite person in the world.
I already was.
I was your favorite person. Now
in the
you
world.
really made it. You really made it. I'm a huge Cards fan. Yes, I'm from like Springfield area.
Yeah.
My grandma lived in Springfield.
No way.
I spent a shitload of time in Springfield.
You were my boy too. That's what I'm talking
That
about.
Bass Pro Shop?
Bass Pro, baby.
Dude, I know that Bass Pro Shop with the back of my hand.
It's the best. That place is like
that was literally the only thing to
childhood.
do as a kid growing up when we spent a significant amount of time in Springfield.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the mall was shit. And I was like, let's just go to Bass Pro Shop.
Dude,
it's cool.
Bass Pro is
So
It's
like,
my parents
literally
would just
cool.
drop me
It's
off and we would
air-conditioned.
just get lost for hours. And I would just spend all the time in the boat section,
the place
looking
is
at boats,
insane.
looking at guns, looking at the polar bear, going up to the McDonald's, go to the shooting range.
Bass Pro is like a childhood. Like I spent a lot of time there.
That's the original Bass Pro Shop. If nobody knows, like that is
It's
the
insane,
OG.
too. It's insane.
Really?
Have you not been
It's
there?
crazy.
No, I've been to the Bass Pro Shop in
There's
Arkansas. No, wait. What's the place?
There's no comparison.
No
This one's
comparison.
so big.
Have
Lake
you
of the
been-
It is
Ozarks.
so
okay,
fucking
that's
big.
a nice one. But the Bass Pro in
No, I'll
Springfield
go.
is huge.
It is the
You gotta
size of
like
like an entire mall.
How tall
Like,
is
that's
that
how big it is.
waterfall? It's like a 60-foot waterfall.
Yeah, it's like at least 3-4 stories.
Yeah,
Waterfall. There's like polar bears. They've got like movie things you can go and see and experiences. Then they built the whole back thing, which is like relatively newer over the last 10 years. So you can go and you can see like stories from Hemingway and a bunch of like
insane.
things that are
Old
kind
Man in
of
the
like brought
Sea
to
type
life.
Oh.
The ceiling, like there's a portion of it that's painted like you're underwater. You got bottom of boats sitting there, and like it's incredible.
So
Place is
It's an
amazing.
experience. Like you don't really go there to buy shit, but
Yeah,
people
you
do
just-
buy shit. But
yeah.
like it's an experience just to like go and you can spend hours and just get lost in that place.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I shall go.
You should definitely go.
I shall go.
It's a bucket list item for sure.
I
It's
did
a
not know you're
bucket
from
list.
St. Louis, though.
I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We moved here when I was 5. My dad worked. Well, so my parents met in the lunch line at Monsanto. Dad was in
the food.
he was
What is
he
it
was
called?
he was in marketing.
Monsanto, like the
Chemical company.
The chemical company. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They're as evil as only gas companies, apparently.
All right, you're ruining my story.
I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. My bad, Lisa.
So your parents are
Sorry.
evil. Okay, go on.
My parents are so
Saints.
sweet and loving.
Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.
They met in the lunch line at Monsanto. But then when I was 5, we moved to Houston. My dad worked for Corpus Christi Petrochemical, which was bought by Kane, which was then bought by Oxy. So
So
I
you were
don't know why I
5. So
started
you
on
moved here
this.
in like what,
Oh, but yeah.
1990?
no. Before then. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. I forget what else I was going to tell you. I got so excited
My
about
bad.
the
My bad. I screwed it up.
Bass Pro Shop. No,
Yeah.
now I just am thinking, how did I miss Bass Pro Shop?
Yeah.
I don't know
This
how you
whole
missed
time.
it. It's amazing.
I'll have
It's
to go.
such a wonderful place. I love it. I
Oh.
literally like go.
Back to Tillman.
Yeah.
I've never met him.
He's
I've
awesome.
heard all about him because we stole his best employee.
That's right.
Trey Zeliff.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Right.
Trey works with LevelField.
I remember that actually. Yeah, you told me that not too long ago. Tillman's awesome.
Okay,
and his
I've never met him, and I really want to meet him. He's like a legend in Houston and beyond.
Oh, yeah. They got they are literally some of the nicest people. Like I coached at First Baptist Academy. That was my first coaching job in Houston. That's where I got to know them. I coached 2 of his sons, and his other son was my ball boy, and he's the cutest freaking kid. He probably if he listened to this somehow, he'd be really embarrassed. But kid was adorable.
They had a yacht party this weekend. How do we get in? Can you get us invited?
I don't know. He probably doesn't remember who I am. His son I saw not very long. His older son his second oldest son Patrick. I saw him at a Rockets game not too long ago. And I walked up, was like, Patrick, what do you know? And he turns around, and he's like, Coach Ballard, you were the best thing for my career. I'm like, you were in 6th grade, bro. But I mean, it was all downhill from there. But yeah, they were just such good people. Like really, really. His wife was amazing. Paige. I mean, they're just really, really. For being billionaires, you got like kind of think like, what are they going to be like as individuals? They were super cool, sweet, kind. She like his wife sent my daughter birthday presents like 4 years after I'd left there. They were so cool to us we had a baby shower when my wife got pregnant with my daughter. They I don't want to say how much, but they gave us a chunk of money just freaking wired up in a freaking baby bottle. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, you guys are the nicest people. Like, no reason. Nobody asked. Just, they're really cool people. Yeah. And he did fly helicopters into our junior high football games, which were like...
That's hilarious.
I thought somebody was dying. I was like, is it the life flight here? And they're like, no, that's my dad. I was like, is your dad a paramedic?
This is my dad.
Well, Gideon flies helicopters places.
He does. So we flew in to shoot that commercial. The helicopter wasn't supposed to make it to the commercial. He was supposed to be just like...
That is... the horse was cool.
So
but the
full story, cool. I'm actually in the restroom here, and I just randomly FaceTime Gideon. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And this was a Friday. I said, what are you doing on Monday? And can you come to Louisiana to this ranch? Because our guy John, his family owns a ranch out there in Louisiana, on the border of Texas and Louisiana. I was like, can you come out and shoot this commercial? We've got this idea. It involves a horse and ranch and all this kind of stuff. And he's, let me check my calendar. He's like, yeah, I'll be there. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to fly a helicopter. Where do I land? And I was like, I'll let you know. I'll give you the coordinates, I guess. And so he flies the helicopter and they shoot the bit. And then the helicopter, we were just like, we got to make it a part of the bit. So then they took off. So, but even whenever we had you guys here to talk about Empower, he flew a plane in for that.
Dude,
for the day.
I know, because
for 2 hours. And
were you the one that was late? No, you didn't come that day.
I called in, yeah.
Somebody was late and they walked in and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm late, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. And Gideon was like, yeah, I flew a plane here. I got here on time.
Yeah.
There are so many cool people in Bitcoin.
There are so many cool people. Like, honestly, some of...
You want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Gideon made a pact. The night of y'all's party at NAPE, in the next 10 years, me and Gideon are starting an F1 team.
An F1 team?
Yeah.
Is that cars?
Racing
Formula
team.
1.
It starts at like $1 billion to get involved. So we've got to do pretty well for ourselves.
Why can I not get on that pact?
You can come in on this pact.
Yeah, I want to get on this pact.
He was like, we're going to solidify this. So we took a video and we said, this is us here. And we said the date. And we said, we are starting an F1 team within the next 10 years. And we're going to make this happen.
Let's go.
And
Gideon must make a lot of pacts. I thought it was special. Now I'm getting kind of jealous. He made a pact with me that we're going to Bali in 2025.
For what?
We can go to Bali.
Celebrate Bitcoin.
We can go to Bali this year.
Grand.
Oh, it's going to be 250,000 way before then.
I think so too, but
yeah,
I'm okay. I'll do 2025. You guys should go with us.
I want to go to Bali.
I want to go to Bali for sure.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Count me in.
I wanted to go to Dubai.
Dude, Dubai.
I want to go to Dubai.
We need to go do a Dubai trip.
Agree.
Like, totally. The place is incredible.
I had tickets to Dubai. I had a whole trip planned out. And then something catastrophic happened, and I wasn't able to go. I was really sad about it.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, we'll get a plane again.
Yeah. Let's get everybody to buy an Empower ticket so you can quit worrying about Empower and take a little Dubai trip.
And then let's take a little Dubai trip. Let's just go hang out, do like indoor skiing in the middle of the desert. And that would be sick. Yeah.
Jake is worried about it, but it's only because that's probably because they're involved. Because I'm like, dude, everybody talks about it and everybody wants to go, so it's gonna be
like the nature of the game with events these days, post COVID, is that everybody buys their ticket in the last 3 weeks, right? And it's more highly concentrated, like really the last week, and so it's very much like drilling a well, and you don't know where you're gonna land until about 3 days out. Right. So there's going to be a ton of people there, but it's like, it is stressful being the person who's like putting up a significant amount of cash to do an event. Like, you don't know where you're going to land.
Yeah.
Right? So
he's
you're
been
kind of
stressing me out when I talk to him. Like, dude, you're making me nervous, man. What you're stressing me out, bro. You're stressing me out.
I know.
No, it's going to be good.
It's going to be great though.
Yeah.
All right.
It really will.
Well, so I'm recruiting people to come. I have asked a couple of women to come. I don't know if you guys know.
We need more of those.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, no. So this is where I'm going with this comment. I've asked D++ to come, and there's another woman that's on Twitter a lot, Isabel Foxen Duke. Do you guys know her?
Yep.
She's awesome. But I will say a little plug for single women out there. Okay, folks.
There's a lot of
Like,
dudes in it, right?
All guys.
Yeah.
Right?
all
Like,
dudes.
it's the weirdest phenomenon that like
It
20,
is.
30-year-old women have not yet figured out to show up to a Bitcoin meetup.
I know, because
Or
there's
the
like,
Empower conference. It's like,
and honestly, the guys in it are good dudes.
I feel like we should do a
It's-
dating show with Lisa. Like
it's
we
so
match her up.
selective.
That's a
We
great
match her
idea.
up with like we do like the whole blind dating thing where there's
my
like
God.
three random Bitcoiners behind the veil.
Yeah, with
Oh.
the dating game.
you know what? So I won't date anyone that's in my industry. It's a rule.
Not even for the show.
But so that's not even
That'd be great for
that's
the
not a
show.
deal breaker that they're not orange pilled to like be part of requirements.
I haven't dated anyone that is orange pilled.
Are you serious?
The only, yeah.
Do you feel like you fundamentally disagree on life though? And maybe that could be the downfall
Yeah,
I
of your relationships.
fundamentally think, I don't know whether or not they think I'm stupid or they're just stupid.
I
Like,
don't
one
think-
of the two of us is
No.
not understanding what's at play here.
I'll tell you what I think.
All right.
It
let's hear
is. I think if a dude is not orange pilled yet and they came across you and you guys are having your conversation and the topic I think would inevitably come up with you in particular.
Bitcoin?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would have to probably. I mean, you're like,
I,
you are maybe the best evangelical Bitcoiner that I know, like evangelist for Bitcoin.
okay, but I'm like the big fat Greek wedding, the guy who's with the Windex, the dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can tell you how any word is Greek.
Yeah.
Right? Give me a word, I'll tell you how it's Greek. Like,
Right.
that's how I am. I'm like, give me a topic and I'll tell you how it's connected to Bitcoin.
Yeah, right. And so I think it's inevitable that is going to come up.
Mhm.
I could see most guys that if they're not orange pilled, where they would struggle, they would get intimidated by him because
Yes, that's so true.
yeah, no, I could see that.
I think you need to give some orange pilled guys a try.
Yeah, I think you should.
I think that should be a whole show.
I
Like a whole
that
dating
idea.
show. Like we can make it a whole production.
What do I
you
have to
know.
lose?
Yeah,
You have nothing to
not?
lose,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have everything to gain. You don't have to
Yes.
marry him. You know,
This kid end up, man, no, she's gonna marry him, and then the next show we would do it'd be like Lisa's wedding.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Lisa's Bitcoin wedding,
Oh,
and that would be the next
so
one.
fun. I'm not
Season
getting
2.
remarried, but yeah.
You don't have
I
to.
mean, I was already married to the nicest guy in the world.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, you did
check.
say that, and she said that twice. So it's
Oh,
gotta
it must be
and-
true.
Oh, it is true. And he is the only man in my world, like, that I care about. Oh, I don't know if I want to dox him. I'm already there.
Yeah.
He owns Bitcoin.
boom.
Boom. I was like, you need to buy Bitcoin because we share a kid and everybody here needs to be.
So see, that makes a lot of sense. Come on, Lisa, we need to make this happen.
We need to
Okay.
make this
We need
happen.
to make
for
this
sure.
Let me know.
That's my
It's-
mission in life.
It's going down.
In between transitions between panels, I'm just gonna put Lisa's match profile
Yeah.
up on the screen.
Yes,
And I'm gonna be like, here's a QR code. Please slide in her DMs.
we should critique whether or not they match. We should be the dictators.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll
we should do
pick.
interviews. We should do
We'll
interviews.
do interviews. We'll have an interview panel, and we will decide the candidates that
Yeah.
that get to
Really?
Yeah.
This is getting
attempt
really
to woo
good.
you.
Attempt
Yes.
to woo me. Okay.
I like that idea.
This
All
could be
right.
really good.
It could be good.
And then once
Great
they get
idea,
once they
buddy.
get past us, they've got your daughter's the final.
Yeah, your daughter. Oh
the
my
final
gosh,
say
it's
so.
a genius idea.
She's like
Your
the final
daughter's gonna
boss
choose.
that they have to get through to get
Yeah,
to you.
she's the final boss.
Yeah.
She's the final boss.
Okay.
What do you think? She would like this, I bet.
I bet she would.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Lisa? You down?
I'm totally down. She will not be down. She will have no part of this
She's
discussion.
not interested. I'm not interested.
All right, we've been going for 2 hours.
Have we? Man,
it's been so fun.
It just has fun.
Thank you
Let's
for
have fun with
coming,
everyone.
Lisa. You are seriously
Thank you.
You're the Bitcoin evangelist that I
really
I
one
love
of the
talking to
best evangelists for
Yeah.
this space.
I met you at a Bitcoin meetup. It was the first time I met you. And I remember thinking, like, man, you just got a good energy. Awesome.
Thanks.
So, yeah, really happy you came on.
Thank you. So, do you know actually what the definition of an evangelist is, or a definition?
He or she who
trust.
evangelizes?
Yeah.
Yes,
he or
very
she evangelizes. Like a, I don't know, proponent, a word spreader of the good news of Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah. I heard this on Sunday. Dr. Pace, our minister, said that you can cut this out if people aren't religious, but an evangelist is someone who's passing along something that God has already said to someone else.
I like it.
And,
That's a good.
I do believe that that, as we were saying, maybe it's before we went on air, that we discovered Bitcoin, right? We didn't invent it. We discovered it, like oil or other natural resources. Right. We've come to discover it, and now we're going to use it as a tool. And I believe that things that we discover were put here by, our creator. So,
does this make us a prophet?
I don't know. That's getting so deep.
Ooh.
That is getting deep. I would love to be considered a prophet, but
be pretty cool.
I also don't want to be like sacrilege at the same
it's
time.
or your friend in Dubai. It's the greatest tool for humanity.
It is. Yeah. And I agree. And I mean, when I got into it from a career standpoint, I honestly felt like called to do it. So I know that might sound weird, but I wholly believe it. It was not just a choice. So that's my opinion. I don't know.
Cool. Love it.
Cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. It was awesome.
We'll have to have you back again.
I'd love to come anytime.
Well, we will
see you at Empower.
Yes.
We'll see you on the dating show.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.